Well, y'all, we are back. We are on day 8, entering in week 2 of this book, The Story. I'm letting you guys know it may be a minute because we are not way far into it. We are currently reading about Joseph and his story, and we're talking about the Joseph that went from slave to being second only to Pharaoh. That's a pretty big deal. So Pharaoh said to Joseph, I had a dream, and no one can interpret it. But I have heard it said of you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. Y'all, hold on 1 minute. Yep, y'all see these fancy things here, these spectacles? Yeah, my eyes may not do the best job of seeing what it is I got to see. And them other ones, I had on a different pair. Y'all might not even have noticed I had on this pair. I could not see that well even with them spectacles. So I got on this other set. And so he's interpreting a dream for Pharaoh. Joseph said to him, though, I cannot do it. That's what Joseph replied to Pharaoh. But God will give Pharaoh the answers he desires. Now it says that, but he's desiring the answer. He ain't going to say what Pharaoh wants to hear, just that he's going to give him the answer to that dream. Pharaoh explained his 2 dreams this way. 7 beautiful fat cows emerged from the Nile, only to be eaten by 7 ugly skinny cows. Then 7 savory heads of grain on a single stalk are swallowed up by 7 dried up, worthless heads. What do you make of that? Pharaoh asked Joseph. This is a commentary part. Give credit to God for this gift of interpretation, Joseph told Pharaoh, that the twin dreams foretold 7 years of bumper crops to be followed by 7 years of dried up fields and famine. God planned it this way, Joseph said, so there could be no doubt it would happen. Joseph's recommendation to Pharaoh was to put a wise man in charge of storing food and preparing for the coming famine. Yep. Now, who do you think that wise man the Pharaoh's going to pick is? I mean, who do they got to pick from? Yep, the plan seemed good to Pharaoh and to all his officials. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, since God has made all this known to you, there is no one so discerning and wise as you. You shall be in charge of my palace, and all my people are to submit to your orders. Only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you. So Pharaoh said to Joseph, I hereby put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his finger and put it on Joseph's finger. He dressed him in a robe of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. I'm getting some MC Hammer vibes, y'all. I probably shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, but I mean, in my head, I'm thinking the baggy pants, this robe. I kind of going to get the big chain. I'm like, I mean, I see it, but none of you know who MC Hammer is, so it won't matter. Good. Anyway, so he put the gold chain around his neck. He made him ride in a chariot as his second in command, and people shouted before him, make way. Thus he put him in charge of the whole land of Egypt. Yeah, then Pharaoh said to Joseph, I am Pharaoh, but without your word, no one will lift a hand or foot in all Egypt. They're not going to lift one hand or foot without that word. Awesome. Sure enough, for 7 wonderful years, the Egyptian farmers could hardly believe how full their harvests were. Farmers yielded enough for the people to eat well and still store up for the coming bad times. Joseph knew another kind of fruitfulness during this time. His wife had 2 sons. It's your sons, that's pretty fruitful. Yeah. So he gave them the names Manasseh and Ephraim. Then, as Joseph had predicted, the blue skies over Egypt became hot and parched, and the crops withered. But Joseph had already planned ahead and stored a sufficient supply of food to keep the Egyptians healthy and Pharaoh's foreign trade business even healthier. Even the weather patterns fit into God's bigger plan. Because the drought was so severe, neighboring nations began to approach Egypt for help just to stay alive. And just look who shows up. So there we are. We're going to get to see who comes and who you think it is. Yep. I hate big names in the Bible. I do. I know they're there for a purpose. I don't like how they say different names, different translations. But guess what? They're there for a purpose. Good to know. So we're going to get in, and I think I know who's coming. Do you know who's coming to the party, Sunny D? What happened? Who sent Joseph there? Think about it. Now who's coming? Begging. Yeah, let's see. When Jacob learned that there was grain in Egypt, he said to his sons, "Why do you just keep looking at each other?" He continued, "I have heard that there is grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy some for us so that we may live and not die." Smart move. Then 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain from Egypt. But Jacob did not send Benjamin, Joseph's brother, with the others, because he was afraid that harm might come to him. Remember, he had a wife he kind of liked the best. Yep. Now Joseph was the governor of the land and the person who sold grain to all its people. So when Joseph's brothers arrived, they bowed down to him with their faces to the ground. As soon as Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them, but he pretended to be a stranger and spoke harshly to them. "Where do you come from?" he asks. "From the land of Canaan," they replied, "to buy food." Although Joseph recognized his brothers, they did not recognize him. Then he remembered his dreams about them, and he said to them, "You are spies. You have come to see where our land is unprotected." "Uh-oh." "No, my lord," they answered. "Your servants have come to buy food. We are all the sons of one man. Your servants are honest men, not spies." "No," he said to them, "you have come to see where our land is unprotected." But they replied, "Your servants were 12 brothers, the sons of one man, who lives in the land of Canaan. The youngest is now with our father, and one is no more." Joseph said to them, "It is just as I told you. You are spies, and this is how you will be tested. As surely as Pharaoh lives, you will not leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one of your number to get your brother. The rest of you will keep in prison, so that your words may be tested to see if you are telling the truth. If you are not, then as surely as Pharaoh lives, you are spies." And he put them all in custody for 3 days. On the third day, Joseph said to them, "Do this and you will live, for I fear God. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers stay here in prison, while the rest of you go and take grain back to your starving households. But you must bring your youngest brother to me, so that your words may be verified and that you may not die." This they proceeded to do. Smart move, smart move. Still didn't recognize their brother, though. They said to one another, "Surely we are being punished because of our brother. We saw how distressed he was when he pleaded with us for his life, but we would not listen. That's why this distress has come on us." Reuben replied, "Didn't I tell you not to sin against the boy? But you wouldn't listen. Now we must give an accounting for his blood." They did not realize that Joseph could understand them, since he was using an interpreter. He turned away from them and began to weep, but then came back and spoke to them again. He had Simeon taken from them and be bound before their eyes. They knew they was wrong. They knew it. Wait a minute. What did I do here? Joseph developed a deceitful plan. He imprisoned one of his brothers, Simeon, as a supposed hostage until his obedient younger brother Benjamin could appear in Egypt. He secretly returned the money used to purchase their grain to the brothers' bags. He kept his own identity from them by using his second language, all the while hearing perfectly well their own expressed fears. Good rule of thumb: never pretend like the people that are listening ain't able to understand what you're saying. You'd be amazed at how much people pick up on. Yeah. These 9 brothers were desperately confused, but Father Jacob wasn't confused at all. When the 9 sons told him the terms of sale, Jacob wouldn't budge. No way would he surrender the young Benjamin to this Egyptian leader. Egyptian leader's examination, or even to the sorry band of sons who had allegedly lost Joseph to the wild beasts so many years before. It looked like a stalemate, stubborn souls refusing to comfort their secret fears. Confront, not comfort. Confront their secret fears, until hunger, that great persuader, drove them toward compromise and compliance. Now the famine was still severe in the land, so when they had eaten all the grain they had brought from Egypt, their father said to them, "Go back and buy us a little more food." But Judah said to him, "The man warned us solemnly, 'You will not see my face again unless your brother is with you.'" Then their father Israel said to them, "If it must be, then do this. Put some of the best products of the land in your bags and take them down to the man as a gift: a little balm and a little honey, some spices and myrrh, some pistachio nuts and almonds. Take your brother also and go back to the man at once. And may God Almighty grant you mercy before the man, so that he will let your other brother and Benjamin come back with you. As for me, if I am bereaved, I am bereaved." Bereaved. What a word. So the men took the gifts and doubled the amount of silver, and Benjamin also. They hurried down to Egypt and presented themselves to Joseph. It doesn't even mention like part of the story where they figured out that they had this and they were like, "Uh-oh, we got the money from before. This is bad." Yeah. When Joseph came home, they presented to him the gifts they had brought into the house, and they bowed down before him to the ground. He asked them how they were, and then he said, "How is your aged father you told me about? Is he still living?" They replied, "Your servant, our father, is still alive and well." And they bowed down, prostrating themselves before him. Another weird word. Like when I hear prostrate, I think like the cancer, which is part of the body. Not that. It's something different, right? As he looked about and saw his brothers, Benjamin, his own mother's son, he asked, "Is this your youngest brother, the one you told me about?" And he said, "God be gracious to you, my son." Deeply moved at the sight of his brother, Joseph hurried out and looked for a place to weep. He went into his private room and wept there. After he had washed his face and come out, and controlling himself, said, "Serve the food." The men had been seated before him in order for their ages, in order of their ages, from the firstborn to the youngest, and they looked at each other in astonishment. The portions were served to them from Joseph's table. Benjamin's portion was 5 times as much as anyone else's, so they feasted and drank freely with him. Now Joseph gave these instructions to the steward of his house: fill the men's sacks with as much food as they can carry, and put each man's silver in the mouth of his sack. Then put my cup and the silver one, in the mouth of the youngest one's sack, along with the silver for his grain. And he did as Joseph said. As morning dawned, the men were sent on their way with their donkeys. They had not gone far from the city when Joseph said to his servant or steward, go after those men at once, and when you catch up with them, say to them, why have you repaid good with evil? Isn't this the cup my master drinks from and also uses for divination? This is a wicked thing you have done. When he caught up with them, he repeated these words to them. But they said to him, why does my Lord say such things? Far be it from your servants to do anything like that. We even brought back to you from the land of Canaan the silver we found inside the mouths of our sack. So why would we steal silver or gold from your master's house? If any of your servants is found, or if any of your servants is found to have it, he will die, and the rest of us will become my Lord's slaves. Well, I'm going to go just a little bit more. Very well, then, he said. Let it be as you say. Whoever is found to have it will become my slave. The rest of you will be free from blame. How do you think that's going to go? Well, y'all, I went long again. Sorry. I was just trying to get it wrapped up to a good spot. Day 8 down. Page 38 of the story at the top is where we're stopping. Hey, thank you for joining in. For those of you that did, have a wonderful, blessed day. I hope you enjoyed the Lord's Day. This is a Sunday when I'm recording this. So I hope you enjoyed the Lord's Day. I hope you had an opportunity to go to a church and worship with like-minded believers. I hope you felt iron sharpening iron. And I just pray that as you all go into this week to come, it's an amazing week. I love y'all. Be blessed and have an amazing week. Bye.